As we record this, there are around 14 months until the next general election, and Sir Keir Starmer looks to be clearing the decks and setting out his stall to become the next Prime Minister. Is the electorate being asked to vote for him or the Labour Party? Is the reputation of one a reflection of the other? It's a question that many people might be asking, and my answer to both, the first and the second part of that question, is yes. We see this in the business world. The perception that customers, clients, investors have of an organisation is reflected by the way in which they perceive the personal brand of its leaders. If the CEO or the leader of the party, in the case of Keir Starmer, is highly regarded, that will then positively reinforce the image of the organisation as a whole. But what does this mean in a practical sense? How does a leader's reputation benefit the organisation? Well, being seen and considered to be a good guy, one that is highly respected or admired, does prompt the question of, so what? What does it matter? But it does matter. Whether you're a politician, CEO, founder, an MD, customer purchasing decisions and investor considerations are increasingly being influenced and driven by the way in which the organisation is perceived. And its leaders, the representatives of that brand, are the ones who set the tone for this. There is a proven direct correlation between the personal brand of the leadership team and the bottom line of the business. And we've seen this multiple times. And let me give you a few examples. When Harriet Green was appointed to the role of CEO of Thomas Cook, she brought the travel company back from the brink of administration and returned it to growth. The company went from £148 million turnover to £2 billion in the space of 2 years. And when she announced she was stepping down, the business lost £400 million in value overnight. Investor confidence, too, is also driven by the strength of the organisation's key figureheads. Is it really a coincidence that CEOs or founders with high media profiles just so happen to lead organisations that attract significant investment and funding? Think the likes of Gymshark, Octopus Energy, Monzo, Starling Bank and Revolut, who all raised in excess of £100 million in revenues, actually a lot higher in some cases, in the years 2021 to 2022. Bringing it back to politics, Tony Blair unquestionably had one of the most powerful personal brands of any politician, and that is universally recognised as the primary reason for Labour winning a landslide victory in 1997. It was the third largest swing in votes in history. So, is it always a case of either a good reputation means better business results or a bad reputation has the opposite outcome? Look, the answer is no. There are instances when the CEO's profile has driven growth and catapulted the business to the top of their game, only for it to change remarkably with their role itself being under threat. And take Brewdog as a case in point. Its founder, James Watt, has a prolific social media and media presence in general. The company is now the 14th largest beer brand in the world, bigger than Carlsberg, and worth an estimated £2 billion. But the company is having a major reputational crisis over claims both it and, more importantly, Watt himself have made about their sustainability and ethical credentials. For instance, there's the accusations of workplace bullying, which was significant in Brewdog recently being stripped of its B Corp status. Then there was the World Cup advertising campaign that they ran in 2022, which highlighted human rights abuses in Qatar while seeking to profit from the event themselves, and despite their own aforementioned people issues. I guess we're talking here about the old adage, people really do buy from people. You only have to play the word association game. If I ask you Apple, you'll probably think of Steve Jobs, or maybe Tim Cook, Virgin, Richard Branson, Amazon, Jeff Bezos. It also flips the other way as well. Elon Musk, Tesla, Bill Gates, Microsoft, Ben Francis, Gymshark. The list goes on and you probably get the point by now. A challenge for some businesses and brands is that they may have a CEO who recognises the need to get themselves out there, as it were, to be the face of the organisation, but they're actually reluctant to do so. Our job as their PR consultants is to help them find their voice. Where do their interests and passions lie? This could be on creating a better business with a strong purpose, for example, or one that champions the cause for young people entering their industry. Whatever it is, if they're genuinely interested and understand it, they'll be able to speak passionately about it. And that's what we need to capture. So we then work on enabling them to channel that voice in the most appropriate way, such as penning thought leadership content or preparing them for media interviews and podcasts as an example. If the pandemic taught us anything at all, is the value of relationships between organizations and their customers. The CEO, founder, or managing director very much needs to be front and center of all external communications being created by the business. Theirs is a presence that really does matter. It makes a difference to the way in which people perceive and engage and part with their hard-earned cash. But it must be consistent. Simply getting your name out there on an ad hoc basis really isn't enough. Much like advertising success depends on consistent campaigning, public relations works in exactly the same way. The more frequently you're seen and heard, the greater the affinity between you and your customers and the increased likelihood that you will have in ensuring that your business or brand stays top of mind for the people who matter the most.